to ask Marnie if she would come and join me up here now. That's about right. I'm guessing. Yes, let's do that. It's a pleasure for me to have you here this morning. I was actually riding around the other day with Brian, and I was reminded of something Wednesday night. Brian and Marnie come to our place with some other young couples on Wednesday nights, and we have a really neat time together. There's a picture of you guys on our fridge, your wedding picture, and one of the other newer couples asked, well, I recognize it now. How long ago was that? And I said, oh, that was a year ago. It was kind of surprising to me. I was about to say 4 or 5 years, in a good way. Absolutely, and not that, But, yeah, I'm trying to dig myself out of that. No, in a very good... Brian and I were saying that it's hard for me even, but even for him, to remember when you weren't in the picture. Because you've become such a part of our lives so quickly. I recognize that a lot of people here may not know too much about who you are or your background, so would you just give us like a Reader's Digest snapshot of your earlier years, and then we'll bring you up to date a little bit later.
Okay. Well, I really appreciated John last week because my story paralleled a little bit to his. Growing up as a child, my mother took my brother and I to church on Sundays. So I attended church as a small child, but it didn't spread over into the home. My father did not go to church, and our family did not really represent what we would do on Sundays. It didn't transfer over at all. Our family dynamic was not that wonderful. My parents will end up getting a divorce later on, but the love and respect that should be in a Christian home wasn't there between my parents. We left the church when I was in grade 7, my mother and my brother and I, and we never went back after something that had happened that we didn't agree with. And it was at that time where I sort of said, I still believe in God, but I just don't believe in the church as an institution. And it was easy to sort of leave it at that, but when you really look back at my life between the last couple of years and going back to grade 7, I didn't live that way. I didn't really still follow God's word or have any kind of a relationship with him. I sort of brushed him aside and for many, many years discarded his voice that was really close to me, and I sort of ignored friends who came into my life, and they were really strong Christians, and they would invite me to church, and I would be like, no, no, no. And another one would invite me to church, and I'd be like, no, no, no. And I wasn't ready for that commitment because I knew once I made that step that I would then want to work on my relationship with God, and I wasn't going to go halfway. It was all or nothing for me. And then I met Brian.
Yeah, I cry. He makes me cry too.
I know. And I met him, and through him I met you and your amazing family. And I learned that you were a pastor of KBC at the time. And Brian wasn't attending KBC at that moment, and as I got to know him better and the kind of person he was, and even though he wasn't attending KBC, you could see the strong Christian inside of him. And it was something that I really had wanted in my life. Had gone on to Christian Cafe before when I was thinking I wanted a relationship, and that's the kind of person I wanted in my life. So nothing came about because God had a better plan for me. But I presented it to him. I just wrote him a note one day and I said, I'm ready to go back to church if you are. And I left it up to him, and so we decided to go back to KBC. And like John, we both attended Alpha for the first time, and it was amazing. And it really solidified it for me in that I wanted the Lord back in my life. And then we decided, I guess, just to start building from there, I think. That's where it gets us caught up to now. So.
Wow, I don't know what he's asking. That's excellent. No, that's, how do you feel yourself growing now in the areas of your life, relationships?
I thank God for mercy every day. I really need to be in the presence of this group. I love the fellowship we have, and it means a lot. Our Bible study on Wednesday night really makes that continuation not just on Sundays but through my whole week. And Brian and I have made the commitment to get more into our daily devotional, so he's agreed, if I'm allowed to say this, to come to bed early at night and we read together, and we've gone to Salem. Yeah, I know, big step. And we went to Salem together and picked out some devotional books together that we can work on. And so, because my biggest step now is to dive more into the Bible and to read His Word every week, and that came from a couple weeks ago. But I said, you know what, I'm not doing this enough, and I need to make that commitment. So that's my next step.
You're somebody, I think, who doesn't see as much value in yourself as the rest of us see in you. You struggle with that sometimes, a little. Marnie is somebody that Shannon and I fell in love with literally before we met her, because Brian had come in to the house and was a totally different person. Brian was very much part of our life and our family. And he came in so different, and we knew something was up. And then as he started talking about you, we knew that was a lot, that God had brought the person into his life. So the first time you showed up, no pressure, because you were a what?
Yes, because Brian said if I didn't pass Shanna's test, then I wouldn't.
Okay, that's true.
That was it.
There's a lot to that, yeah. I can go along with that, actually, but plus she brought this dessert, and the first words Justin ever said to you was, I love you. That's right. So, no, because we saw the way your life was already impacting Brian. And then we saw how your sensitivity to his spiritual life even was an encouraging step toward him reinvesting in that area of his life as well, and in yours as a couple. And I really thank you for sharing this morning, because we're talking about spiritual gifts in a couple minutes, and you clearly have some that I think are a perfect example for us of what we're talking about today. We're not given gifts for our own benefit. We're given spiritual gifts for the benefit of other people, and that's what your life does. You, by nature, by God-given nature, encourage people. You really do. Our lives are changed each time we're around you. You, by a God-given gift, you have a talent in this area too, but it's coupled with a God-given ability and gift to teach. And you have been given a God-given gift of mercy. And while you say you need that, you also demonstrate that and exude that.
That is probably the one thing that came out of my home as a childhood. So my father is in no way a Christian man, and if you ever spoke to him, I apologize for any of the blasphemy that comes out of his mouth. But he was very big on community movement, and he taught us from very young to give to others who had less than us. And we were constantly picking angels out of the tree or dropping off baskets of Thanksgiving and Christmas to families that had less than us, and going to charity events, and so that came a lot. That's the one amazing thing I got from him.
And your heart responds immediately to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Thank you. Can you help me thank Marnie?
That's the cry of our hearts, Lord. We want to be just like you.